Welcome to the 2023 Road Warrior Recognition Awards. My name is Carissa Brewster. I am the staff writer with Whitman Partners. And today we have Cecily Proveaux, interim OR educator with the Catholic Medical Center in Manchester, New Hampshire. Welcome, Cecily.
Hi, thank you.
You're welcome.
I really like problem solving, and that's really one of the primary roles for interim directors or interim positions in leadership. I, you know, enjoy the thought of going to different places and seeing how they practice medicine in different parts of the country, and learned that a lot of places have the exact same problems, no matter how big or small they are. Um, but I've really enjoyed it. I really don't focus on selling myself, honestly, during an interview. I try to make it a very conversational interaction where we're discussing the institution and what their needs are, what the positive things about the institution, what the people that I'm speaking with, what make them want to work there, and also what needs they identify. And during that conversation, I'm very acutely listening to uh, things that I can possibly point out that it was similar in another situation that I was at, and things that I did to help address that, or things that I worked with the team to help address that. Um, well, the information that I that really seals the deal for me and accepting an assignment isn't usually based on a particular answer to a question. It has to do with the interaction that I have with the people that I'm talking to.
So kind of like there has to be kind of a vibe, I guess, like
Right.
a connection.
Exactly. There has to be, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a personal connection, but how do they interact as we're talking and presenting ideas, and the way that um, the questions that they ask, and the things that they think, uh, the suggestions that they offer that uh, have worked, haven't worked, and just the way that they relate to it. Do they seem like, especially if it's people that would be my direct supervisor, how knowledgeable are they really about the department that they're asking me to step in? How involved are they going to be? And sometimes I don't necessarily feel that I need someone that's super involved, but at least someone that's got a good pulse on the situation. Being very present physically and interactionally, listening to people, acknowledging what they're expressing as stress. I actually started my very first assignment in interim was in the middle of COVID. And or actually it was right after the first round, when things were cooling down a little bit. And at that point, this entire OR staff, like a lot of other OR staffs, had been sent out of their department to other departments to uh, do things that they weren't used to doing. And they were very stressed about it. And honestly, just listening. And I think that that carries over even without that high degree of stress, to walk into a department and just listen to people and let them know that you're listening to them. Make it very apparent that you're listening and that you're hearing. You glean a lot from that. You can identify the low hanging fruit that you can address, and have those wins right off the bat to establish trust with them, so they see you're not just there to show up every day. You're there to actually do something every day. Well, making things as efficient. Honestly, it's the same strategies that have been what the OR needs to do to make revenue even before any of the losses. Um, Being efficient, keeping the doors open. Some of the challenges now are making sure that you've got the supplies that you need and the resources, including the staff that you need. So making sure that the people are trained properly, and again, having the equipment and the supplies that they need. Um, that's basically what makes an OR run.
What are some of the challenges of surgical care coordination? So there's all these stakeholders, from the surgeons to the vendors to, SPD. And if, a ball gets dropped and there's information, patient information is missing, that could lead to either a late start or a cancellation. So what are some ways for that process to be smooth? And is there a place for an educator, or yeah, from your perspective, basically as an educator, how can you make
Mhm.
that process smoother?
Number one, I commend you for understanding all of those parts and pieces. Have you worked in surgery before?
I have not. I've just been reading.
Oh, very good.
I'm working on an article about it with a co-writer, and he has some background in the medical field, but also I've just been like reading about it, and it's actually been really educational for me. I had no idea. I mean, I knew work was being done behind the scenes, obviously, but I
Right,
just had no idea how delicate things are and all of the information you have to have.
right. And that is one of the biggest challenges, is that it's not just the people that are in the OR suite. It is the people that get the patients, talk to the patients before they ever have surgery, and they get the right information, and they do the right kind of preoperative testing and get the right consents and things like that. And all the people that need to coordinate having the right supplies delivered to the hospital, the right implants, timely enough for them to be sterilized. So the role that an educator, and I consider an educator to be part of leadership, and that's what's relayed to me as well. Any of the leaders is to keep the doors of communication open between all of those different areas. In some hospitals, they are all part of the same department. In other hospitals, they're not. And one of the things that I find very effective is getting a contact person in each of those places and establishing a relationship with them, so that you have someone that you can talk to, and letting them know that you are the person they can talk to if they're having issues on the other end, and getting the flow so that people are working together, and have a face to put with, make it more personal. I think there's more accountability if people have a more personal connection. Having the OR ready the night before if you can. um, so not waiting until the day of surgery 30 minutes before to get everything set up, because the team that's coming in to do the case can't get all of that done and get you in on time. That's specifically in the OR. That's their piece of the pie. The other big piece of the pie is making sure that the patient's been communicated with to be there on time, making sure that all of the things that need to happen for that patient to roll into the OR are done before the day of surgery if they can, and making sure that there aren't any last minute surprises. And that's where the role of, some people call it pre-admission testing, but the piece of the pie that happens before the patient walks through the doors of the hospital needs to be as complete and clean. Scheduling has to be complete and clean so that all of those pieces fit together. And that is what I see to be a consistent challenge in the various places that I go. That's where that preoperative piece comes in, and it's the most important, because usually what's going to cancel a case is that they have a particular kind of antibody, or there's something that from the preoperative optimization that typically anesthesia does that in most places that I've been, or they're responsible for it. That needs to be, those issues need to be identified before the day of surgery. Making sure that you have the implants or anything that had to be brought in from outside of the hospital get there in a timely fashion, and that there's more than one of them, because you could open up one and there's bioburden or something like that, and then if you're having to wait 3 hours because that's the only one of those there is, that case is going to be either delayed or more than likely canceled. Well, in making things more efficient, I think it makes the facility more attractive to surgeons. And if you make their life easier, they're going to want to bring more to you. So that's the biggest piece of it.
So kind of relationship building.
Exactly. As an interim person, I typically walk into an area that they haven't had anybody there for a little while. And so I do a lot of legwork and finding out those contacts that I was talking about in making things work smoothly. And that's not just within the OR. That's, who's the person you talk to in facilities? Who's the person you talk to in clinical engineering? All of those different contact people. And if I'm having to, and I quite typically work with the team to create processes or streamline processes. I write those down as I'm going. Number one for me, because I'm getting older and I may not remember it if I don't write it down. But also, I kind of create a package as a handoff. And if I get the opportunity, which honestly doesn't happen very often, to spend some time with the person that is being placed in that position permanently, that those relationships and those contacts, that's, if I only have a day, that's what I work with them on. If I have longer than that, then we go through the packages and things like that. But again, having those relationships and having an accountability across the flow of work is the thing that I find to be crucial to the success.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It was just really awesome talking with you. Thanks for sharing your time with us.
Well, thank you.